Alrighty guys, it's back to doing another unboxing, tear the shrink wrap off of the Dwarves of Durin. Another one of the starter packs for the Lord of the Rings, the card game. We're going to find out what cards come in this pack, so you can find out if it's something you might be interested in getting for yourself. If you're trying to get into the Lord of the Rings, I think this is probably the best and easiest option. Grab yourself a nice starter deck or a couple of them, and then start buying some of the expansions. So, without further ado, let's get to it and see what we get inside the package. Alright, so first things first, we're going to take off that, but also keep in mind that if you take this, inside is your little envelope, and then that should be what you need. And let's see what we get inside the package. Alright, so our hero is going to be Dane Ironfoot. Dwarf Noble. When Dane Ironfoot is ready, dwarf characters gain +1 attack and +1 will. We have the hero Ori, Dwarf. If you control at least 5 dwarf characters, add 1 additional card at the beginning of the resource phase. Bilfer, Dwarf. Action, pay 1 resource from a hero's resource pool to add a resource to Bilfer's resource pool. Any player may trigger this ability limit once per round. So there is your 3. It looks like it's going to be a green and purple deck. Green and purple. So, we have 2 copies of Dory. Dwarf. Response: after hero is assigned any amount of damage, exhaust Dory to place that damage on Dory instead. We have 3 copies of Erebor Hammersmith, Dwarf. Craftsman: after you play Erebor Hammersmith, return the topmost attachment in any player's discard pile to their hand. You have 3 copies of Erebor Record Keeper. Dwarf. Erebor Record Keeper cannot attack or defend. Action: exhaust Erebor Record Keeper and pay 1 resource to choose and ready a dwarf character. We have 3 copies of Endrid Lunan Miner, Dwarf. Response: after Endrid Lunan Miner is discarded from your deck, put it into play under your control. Then we have 3 copies of Endrid Nuraris, Prospector. Response: after Endrid Numaris Prospector enters play, discard the top 3 cards of your deck, then choose and shuffle 1 card from your discard pile back in your deck. 3 copies of Gandalf. This is unique. Gandalf. Isidar: at the end of the round, discard Gandalf from play. Response: after Gandalf enters play, choose 1 to either draw 3 cards, deal 4 damage to an enemy, or reduce your threat by 5. We have Golan, Dwarf. While you control at least 5 dwarf characters, Golan gains response. After you play Golan from your hand, choose a hero. Add 2 resources to that hero's resource pool. 2 copies of that card. We have 3 copies of Longbeard Elder Dwarf. After Longbeard Elder commits to a quest, look at the top card of the encounter deck. If the card is a location, place 1 progress on the current quest. Otherwise, Longbeard Elder gets -1 will until the end of the phase. Miner of the Iron Hills, Dwarf. After Miner of the Iron Hills enters play, choose and discard 1 condition attachment from play. We have 2 copies of Cram, It's an item attached to a hero. Discard cram to ready attached hero. We have healing herbs. 0 cost item. Attached to a... I think that's a green hero. Discard healing herbs and exhaust attach hero to heal all damage on one character. Wow, that's really nice. King Under the Mountain. It is a title attached to a dwarf. Action, exhaust King Under the Mountain to look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Add 1 to your hand and discard the other. 3 copies of that card. We have Legacy of Durin. Condition attached to a dwarf hero. Response after you play a dwarf character from your hand. Exhaust Legacy of Durin to draw a card. 2 copies of that. We have 2 copies of Navri's Built. It's an item attached to a dwarf hero. Action, exhaust Navri's Built to give attached hero a purple, green, red, or blue icon until the end of the phase. We have 2 copies of Theodor's Mad. Artifact item attached to a hero. Travel action, discard Theodor's map to choose a location in the staging area. Make that location the active location. If there is another active location, return it to the staging area. We have 1 copy of A Very Good Tale. It is an action, exhaust 2 allies you control to shuffle your deck and discard the top 5 cards. Put up to 2 allies discarded by this effect into play under your control. The total cost of the allies put into play cannot exceed the total cost of the allies exhausted to pay for this effect. And last but not least, Bombur is a dwarf. Action, exhaust Bombur to choose a location. That location gets -1 threat. Until the end of the phase, this location does not contribute its threat. Instead, if it's an underground location. Alright, so we still have more cards in our second deck here. So, I actually have another copy of A Very Good Tale. We have 3 copies of Hidden Cache. After Hidden Cache is discarded from your deck, add 2 resources to the resource pool of a hero you control. Action, spend 1 resource to draw a card. We have 2 copies of Lure of Moria. Action, ready all dwarf characters. 3 copies of We Are Not Idle. Action, exhaust X dwarf heroes to add X resources to the hero's resource pool and draw 1 card. We have Durin's Song. It's a song. Choose a dwarf hero. That hero gets +2 will, +2 attack, +2 defense until the end of the round. That is the deck. That is all 50 cards from this deck. Of course, if you want to fine tune it, there are going to be other cards. We have Nori again. We have Krilli, 3 copies of Krilli. It's a dwarf response after you play Krilli from your hand. During the planning phase, search your deck for Frilli and put it into play under your control and shuffle your deck. So here's Frilli. Frilli, after you play Frilli from your hand during the planning phase, search your deck for Killy and put him into play under your control. Shuffle your deck. 3 copies of that card as well. We have 3 copies of Zolig Minor. Dwarf, action, exhaust Zolig Minor and name a number of discards name a number to discard the top 2 cards of your deck. If at least one of these cards costs equal to the named number, choose a hero you control. For each card that matches the named number, add 1 resource to that hero's resource pool. It's a little bit of a guessing game there. For Eobor Guard. Dwarf Warrior is a sentinel. Response after you play Eobor Guard from your hand. Discard the top 2 cards of your deck and reduce its cost by 2. We have Dwarf Pride, 3 copies. Item Pipe. Attached to a dwarf character, limit once per character. After a card is discarded from your deck, exhaust Dwarf Pipe to place that card on the bottom of your deck. Magic Ring. Artifact Ring item. Attached to a hero, limit 1 hero and 1 per deck. Exhaust Magic Ring and raise your threat by 1. To choose to either heal 1 damage from attached hero, add 1 resource to attached hero's pool, or ready attached hero. We've already seen this character, Bormer. We've seen Dory. We've seen Golan, Cram, Healing Herbs, Legacy of Durin, Navi's Built, Thorin's Map, A Very Good Tale, Lure of Moria, and Durin's Stone. So these are all extra copies if you wanted to fine-tune this deck, taking cards in or out from this Dwarves of Durin deck. So let's take a look at what we do with this one. Alright, far below the deepest dwellings of the dwarves, the world is gnawing at nameless things. This starter pack contains everything you need to play the Dwarven themed deck in the Lord of the Rings, the card game. To play the pre-built decks, take the 53 cards preceding the Halt Divider marked with the star, then follow the setup instructions. The remaining cards are used to build your own custom deck. See deck building in page 6 of your rules reference. Alright, so as you delve, you will want to take advantage of the dwarves' natural durability to build a powerful lineup of allies. Cards like A Very Good Tale can be particularly helpful in expanding your position. Dane Ironfoot is the centerpiece and backbone of your forces. With a deck consisting primarily of dwarf characters, Dane's kingly bonuses will really shine. While your position is solid with a legion of dwarves, use Lure of Moria to realize their full potential. After exhausting your dwarves to quest, play Lure of Moria to bring them back to the fight, ready to defend or attack. That is just helpful information on how to play the deck, and then an outline of what's in the deck. So that is Dwarves of Durin for the Lord of the Rings, the card game, and the deck that it comes with. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys in deciding if this is something that you would like to pick up. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, have a good night, and we will see you for the last unboxing, which is going to be Defenders of Gondor, which will be coming up here shortly. So thanks for watching. See you next time.